Hi guys, I'm Karen from Makeup and Beauty Blog, and today I have a tutorial for you on this shimmery, springy green eye makeup look. Well, there's cheeks and lips up in the mix too, but this is mostly about the eyes. It's still raining here in Northern California, and it's still gray. I don't know when the last time was when I saw the sun, and I really just needed to pick me up. And when I saw this cream eyeshadow by Chanel, it's called Griffith Green, I was like, oh, yes! I just felt so inspired. It's this gorgeous, beautiful, sort of metallic-y, greenish, grayish, tealish. It's just everything right now, and I fell in love with it, and I just knew that I had to do a look with it. So this is the center, kind of like the centerpiece, starting off point, whatever have you call it, of the look, and I just use this as the base. And in this look, I take you through a few different levels of a few different options to wear green. I know some of you might feel like this is like so much, and I get that. It's a lot of color for me as well. So I kind of take you through in baby steps from like a mellower green to a more intense to a brighter look, which is this right here. So why don't we just go ahead and get started? So I started by prepping my skin. As always, I use BECCA's Backlight Priming Filter, and I apply that all over my face, and then I top that with the new NARS Velvet Matte Skin Tint Tinted Moisturizer in St. Moritz. You may have seen a video that I've done recently with this. I'll link that somewhere on the screen just so you can get to that, and in short, it's a maze. Okay, so after I evened out my skin tone with the NARS, I then took Makeup Forever's new Ultra HD Invisible Cover Concealer. I used two shades, R32 to correct the dark circles underneath my eyes, and then I use Y33 to sort of conceal that color. I also did a video on this recently. I'll link that somewhere on the screen so you can head on over to that video if you want to see these two products in action. So after I hid my dark circles, I then took MAC Mineralize Skinfinish in medium tan. This is my jam lately. This is a wonderful setting powder, and I just use that to set my foundation. Grabbed a fluffy brush, applied it all over the skin, and then I did my brows. And the reason why I like to start my eye makeup with brows is because the brows sort of provide like this guideline. They tell me how far out to take the shadow. Basically, they serve as a marker, and I just find it useful to do it at the start. So to fill in my brows, I've been using a new technique. I grabbed Bobbi Brown's Natural Brow Shaper in brunettes, and I filled in from the inner to the outer tail, inner point to the outer tail, and then I used MAC Brun eyeshadow to fill in any sparse spots after that. So I like my brows like this, but I wanted them to really like not move. So I grabbed Anastasia's Clear Brow Gel, and I ran that quickly and lightly through my entire brow from inside to the outside, just to add a little bit more oomph and definition. Okay, so on to the shadows. Now this first part of the look, I took Chanel's Pacific Green Stylo Yeux waterproof and just roughly lined my upper lash line. I wasn't too careful here. All I wanted to really do was to get that green liner on there just so that like it would peek through Griffith Green. And these two are both from the spring collection, by the way. So after I lined my upper lash line, I took that Griffith Green and I applied it by using my fingers. And that method I find is one of the best ways to work with these Chanel cream eyeshadows, especially if you want to get more intensity. And I really wanted a lot of intensity on the lid, so I just popped my finger into the pot and patted it directly onto my lids. Then I mellowed out the edges with a domed blending brush, just to soften out the edges. I then grabbed another eyeshadow from Chanel Spring line. This one's called Moonlight Pink, and it's kind of like the satiny, brownish pink. I think it really complements the metallic green in this color very well. They sort of contrast with each other, but they balance each other really nicely. So I just took like a fluffy angled brush, and I ran that along the edges, and then along the edges of that green on my lid, and then along my lower lash line to add a little bit more depth to the look. Then I lined my upper waterline with a black liner, Chanel's 88 Noir Intense, popped on some mascara, black mascara, and that is the first level of the look. If you want to stop here, this is your comfort zone. Oh my gosh, I think that this is a really pretty way to wear green, and it's easy too because you don't have to spend a lot of time like blending shadows together. But you know what? I decided that I was gonna press onward and do another level of intensity. So I grabbed Chanel's Tisse Venitien quad. This is so pretty. It's one of their baked eyeshadow quads and one of my favorites to wear as well. And I mixed these two greens, this mid-tone green and this like deeper, I don't know if it's like a foresty jade green. Mix those together on the back of my hand and then pop that directly onto Griffith green on my lids just to add more metallic-y green intensity. And then I grabbed the Tarte's Tartelette and Bloom palette, and I took the shade Sweetheart, which is a pinkish brown matte, very similar to Chanel's Moonlight Pink, and I ran that just directly on top of Moonlight Pink to add more contrast to the look. I wanted the matte to contrast with the metallic shade, but yet at the same time I wanted the Moonlight Pink satiny finish to sort of peek through. Okay, blended those two together, and then after I did that, I grabbed some new liners also from Chanel's 2016 collection. The first one is Purple Choc, and Purple Choc is absolutely beautiful. It's like this this purplish liner with some tiny little glitter flecks, and I use that to just very like roughly line my upper lash line. I really just wanted to get that liner on there. I didn't want to make it like too fancy with a wing or anything. I just wanted the effect of the green moving into the purple. And then I also took that shade again and I ran it along my lower lash line, but I didn't go all the way from the inner to the outer corner. I went from the outer corner to about 2/3 of the way in. Okay, after that I grabbed Chanel Fervent Blue. This is like a metallic blue eyeliner, and it's kind of 80s now that I think about it. And I lined my lower waterline with that. I popped it directly on top of that black liner. That black liner, when you put like a blue on top of black, it makes the blue sort of like more intense and I think more interesting. So I did that on the waterline, and then I also took this shade and I put it the inner corner just for the inner like third. So the idea is to have that blue sort of mesh into the purple. So you have that different element of color. You've got the green on the lid, you've got purple on the upper lash line, and the purple moving into the blue along the lower lash line. It's a lot of color, I know, but I think it's fun. So after that, I grabbed Chanel's Le Volume de Chanel in 100. This is a beautiful purple, also from the spring collection. Whack that onto my upper and my lower lashes for even more color. Yay! So this is the second level, all right? And you can totally stop there if you want, but we're gonna keep going. I decided to chug on. So I grabbed one of my favorites from the MAC line, MAC Steamy. Now this is a very high shine frosty mid-tone green, and it's really bright, and I think that's what's beautiful about it. And I took that color and I just ran that along the edge of that Chanel Tisse Venetian that I put on earlier, and just to intensify the look, add more color. And I also took it into the inner part of my eye, sort of like going up toward the brow bone, just to add more pop to the look. And I also feel like when I add color in that area, it makes my eyes look bigger for some reason. I don't know. So I popped it there, blended all that out, and then I grabbed this old Dolce & Gabbana duo, which I've had forever. I don't know if it's still in the permanent line, but seriously, you don't need to use these colors per se. You can just use stuff that's similar. And I took this, it's called Laguna, by the way, and I took this like darker greenish gray shade. I stuck that into the outer corner for a little bit more depth. And then I grabbed, this, which I'm very excited about, Hourglass's new Ambient Brilliant Strobe Light Powder. And I just used my finger and I popped that into the inner corners of my eye to sort of open them up and brighten them up a little bit more. I think I may or may not have popped on another layer of mascara. Hey, why the heck not? And then the eyes were done. Okay, on to cheeks and lips. So sometimes I like to put on my lipstick first before I put on my blush or whatever, just because it helps, like how I mentioned the brows serve as a guideline. putting on like lipstick first allows me to gauge how much blush to put on. So I put on this really beautiful hot pink from Chanel, Rouge Coco Shine in Mighty. Mighty's very mighty. Isn't she gorgeous? She's so pretty. Mighty looks really intense in the tube, but once you get it on the lips, it's like so mellow, and it's like this gorgeous creamy hot pink, and I love it. So I then, after that, I grabbed a blush and I took Chanel's Sun-Kissed Ribbon. Again, from the spring collection. This one's beautiful. It's got all these like sort of different colors and like ribbony stripes, like pink, hot pink, coral, orange, and like a tan, and you swirl them all together. You pop that onto your cheeks, which was what I did with a powder brush. And then, and here's a trick that I like to use. If you ever feel like your blush is too much or it might be too intense, take like a fluffy brush, really any fluffy face brush. I use the Laura Mercier finishing brush, and just gently buff it directly on top, and it will kind of take the edges off and sort of mellow everything out so everything looks beautifully blended. Okay, so after that, I grabbed that same highlighting powder which I used on my eyes, Hourglass Brilliant Strobe Light. This is a bright, very shimmery gold, and I used the this kind of funky sponge. This is also new from Hourglass, and I used it to apply this powder, just a highlighting powder, down the bridge of my nose, on my upper cheekbones, on my cupid's bow to add more shine to this look, because it obviously needed more shine. Hello. Okay, then when I was done with that, I decided, now how would this look? I thought, how would this look like if I swapped out the lip and tried a different lip, like a nude lip, which I'm wearing right now. So I grabbed Chanel's Tender Beige liquid lipstick. I don't remember the exact name of this, but the color's Tender Beige. And on one side there's like a doe foot with the liquid lipstick. On the other there's like a brush with a clear top coat. And I applied that onto my lips. And I really ended up liking this look as well. It's kind of, I like how the nude lips play against the brighter eyes, and it allows like the eyes to stand out a little bit more. Okay, before, well, that is the final look. We've got like shimmery, bright green, springy eyes with a pop of purple on the upper and lower lash lines, and on the lash lines that purple merges into a blue, and then pink cheeks with a little bit of gold highlighter, and either a sheer hot pink or a nude lip like I'm wearing here. The nails, by the way, are Chanel's Le Vernis Nail Gloss in Sunrise Trip, also from the spring 2016 collection. You know, I love this color. It reminds me of like ink, you know, that you would use with like an old-fashioned sort of calligraphy pen. I took calligraphy class in like 7th grade, and I remember like this was the exact color of the ink, but the nail polish itself, it can be a little tricky. It's very thick, and I've worn it a few times, and like it just takes a while to get used to. Sometimes I see bubbles, and you can't wear it, like you can't paint your nails and go to sleep because you'll wake up in the morning with like hot mess nails. Yes, I know this from experience, but the color is really pretty, and I think it goes with the look really nicely. Okay, you guys, thank you again for watching this video. If you like this look, or if you love these kind of sort of tutorials, hey, give it a thumbs up, please. It's just a click. And if you want, please subscribe so that I can see you again. All right, so thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.